We're here to bring a new type of news show.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generations.
Bringing news just for you. It's May 9th here in Seoul. I'm Song Yujin, your new host for News Generation. Joining me in the studio today is Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you, and Woo Hee-jun.
Happy to be here.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. Now, as usual, we're going to begin with our news feed, which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending online over the past 24 hours. Adore CEO Min Hee-jin on Tuesday filed an injunction against Adore's parent company HYBE to halt its exercising of voting rights at an upcoming extraordinary shareholders meeting, which is set to discuss her dismissal from the company. This comes after HYBE filed a criminal complaint against Min for breach of trust and asked the Seoul court to give permission to convene an extraordinary shareholders meeting, bypassing the board. Adore is scheduled to hold its own board meeting on Friday, although the specific agenda has not yet been disclosed. Now, moving on, staying with culture, after more than 30 years in the film industry, Cannes-winning actor Song Kang-ho is making his TV series debut. Disney Plus's Uncle Samsik, starring the veteran actor, is premiering next Thursday. During Wednesday's press conference, Song said he wants to explore various ways to connect with his fans. The 16-episode series is set in Korea during the 1960s, a period of reconstruction following the Korean War. Finally, yesterday was Parents' Day here in Korea, a day where we honor and express our gratitude and love to our parents. Now, according to a survey conducted by one domestic card company, 92% of respondents prepared cash gifts for their parents, with carnation flowers being the second most popular choice. So I want to ask you guys, yesterday was Parents' Day, so how did you spend or celebrate Parents' Day with your family?
Well, personally, I gave gifts and a bunch of flowers to my parents yesterday because, to be honest with you, I never really taken care of this anniversary, which is Parents' Day, to my parents. But as I get older, I feel more grateful for their gratitudes and the dedication and efforts on me. And in fact, for me, who is quite personally timid to express my feelings to my parents, this anniversary and this is actually for me, it's like seems like opportunity to feel my feelings on my parents.
So I think that you had a lovely day with your parents.
I did.
And Walter, I know that you're a parent yourself. So
Yes.
how was Parents' Day for you?
Unfortunately, there wasn't much celebration at the Lee Cho household yesterday, only because it was not a public holiday.
Oh, right.
And my daughter, she's only 16 months old, so she wasn't able to get me anything, which I found extremely rude, but she did make some little paper art for us to have.
That's adorable.
Yes, exactly. It was really cute. I would much rather money, but I guess that's what I have to do for now. But yes, she was able to give us a little gift in the form of her face on a nice little flower. Very cute and adorable, but next time, Daddy wants money.
Indeed. So I hope that everybody who's watching had a lovely Parents' Day as well. And that was our news feed for this Thursday. So we're now going to move on to our main discussion topic of the day. These days, terms like inflation and skyrocketing prices have almost become everyday buzzwords here in the news. So in Korea, there's even this saying, the price of everything is going up except your income. So as costs just keep climbing, Millennials and Gen Zs are adapting their spending habits in some very interesting ways. So let's take a look at the screen to find out more. While Millennials and Gen Zs have often been associated with flex culture, which refers to the flaunting of wealth through flashy spending, as the fight against inflation drags on, we're witnessing a shift in their spending habits. They're now tightening their belts to spend as little and save as much as possible. But it doesn't stop there. Going beyond saving money, many are actively seeking out ways to bolster their income through investment. How is our generation navigating these soaring prices and making ends meet? So as just seen in the VCR, as living costs keep going up, it seems like Millennials and Gen Zs are looking to live more frugally than in the past. Now, one big sign of this change is that we're not ordering in as much. So it's kind of surprising considering how our generation used to be really reliant and being the main active users of these platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Especially during COVID-19, during the pandemic, obviously, that's when the delivery prices, or delivery style of eating
Right.
boomed, and it was quite a great time for restaurants around. Well, not a great time for restaurants, but for the delivery apps as well. But as prices rise, dining out and delivery consumption have become burdensome, it seems. So ordering delivery just once can actually cost way too much for some people.
Like 20,000 won.
Exactly, and that's not even including the delivery fee. So it's said that among the main users of delivery apps, MZers are increasingly opting instead to get home-cooked meals instead of eating out. So if we take a look at the screen, I can actually show you what we mean about scale of dining out expenses. Now, the scale of dining out expenses has decreased about 23% compared to last year. So from 600 million to 400 million. That's a massive decrease if you think about it. And a lot of people, like I said, are now using, I guess, those ready-made meals that you find in supermarkets, or now there's even stores that make ready-made meals for you.
Right, so the graph and the data that you showed actually shows a very steep decline in people who use delivery services. Now, as Walter mentioned before, more people, more millennials and Gen Zs are actually shifting towards home-cooked meals. So do you agree on this, Heejun?
I did. As price continues to rise for a long time now, demands for eating out in the restaurant and delivery food is decreasing. And sales of supermarkets that sells the ingredient in a large quantity is on the rise as well. And this is because buying in the bulk is a little more cheaper than buying in the small quantities. And simple food and meal kits, which is in a immediate stage of cooking, is also doing well as one of the main products. And frozen fruits and meats, and which can be stored for a long time, is also one of the item with the increased sales. And I'm also the one of a person who enjoy the happiness of the delivering food.
Me too.
But I'm also the one of a person who have recently joined this trend due to the restrictions on the increasing delivery fee and also the minimum order amounts.
Well, I'm kind of feeling guilty or bad because I am not cutting back on delivery food, although I am also feeling that burden because everything is getting pricier. But beyond merely cutting back on expenses, for example, using less delivery services, it appears that our generation is increasingly turning to savings and investments to kind of secure more financial stability. So could you tell us more about that?
Well, it seems that many people are definitely more interested in saving than spending. For example, more and more people are tightening their belt and spending wisely, and also cutting back on the spending and also expanding their saving as well. And such as aiming to saving 100 million won in 5 years.
That's a lot.
Or, yes, and or signing up for as many instruments. And unlikely in the past, when the image of the penny pincher was uncomfortable at the moment, but young people are also realizing the virtue of the saving these days.
Right, definitely. Saving has become very important these days. So I want to ask you, Walter, is this trend something that we're observing here in Korea, or is this like universal as well?
Well, recently with international gold prices reaching historic heights, the ease of gold investment through ETF, has been influenced. Now, the enthusiasm for gold investments among MZs is not just here limited to South Korea. Also, Chinese MZs are trending in the showcasing small gold nuggets resembling beans on social media platforms. Now, it also is reported that in the United States, stores like Costco sell gold bars at prices lower than market rates. So it's interesting to see that a long time ago where gold was seen as the most expensive thing and then it had a sort of dip, it's coming back into fashion, which is great to see.
Yeah, gold is making a comeback and we're seeing all these various methods of saving and investment among our generation. So we also asked our viewers how they were spending and saving money amid this era of high inflation, and here's what 3 of them had to say. So if you look at the comments, Sayan says, I've adjusted my spending. I eat out less and have been cooking more at home. I follow cooking recipes which use the leftovers to make other meals. Tasmia says, I just eat 2 meals each day and I've decreased my food intake by 71%. I use water and electricity only when I really need it, and I can use my AC at 26 Celsius degrees for 2 hours. Finally, Stella says, I limit the amount of times I go out to eat to around 1 or 2 times a week and cook the rest of my meals, even my work lunches. I don't look at social media or browse shopping sites or go window shopping, which helps me curb my impulse spending. So our viewers gave a lot of good advice and tips on how they're spending money or saving money. So now we're going to expand on this and find out more on how young people around the world are dealing with inflation. We're going to talk to a Gen Zer living in the States. We'll be right back, so stay tuned. Right, so today we're joined by Hannah Kim, a Gen Zer living in the United States. Welcome, Hannah, to the show.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Hannah. Thank you for your time today. So our first question for you is, have you noticed any changes in your own spending habits or those of your friends recently?
Yeah, definitely would say that we are trying to reduce our spending as much as possible, just because we are definitely eating in more, cooking our meals, limiting the amount of Ubers or Lyfts that we take in place of whether that's like public transit or walking places instead, trying to limit our online shopping addictions as well. So definitely have noticed a big change in our spending habits.
A lot you're doing.
Yeah, so I've also noticed a big change in my spending habits, and I then quickly go back to them and spend as much money as I can for some reason. I'm a very big impulse buyer. Probably you can relate to that being a Gen Zer as well. So what are some of the reasons that that influenced you to adjust your spending patterns? Was it that you were thinking about the future? Were you worried about retirement, like a person like me would be worrying about? Or was it the fact that you were just living off, your salary week by week? What are some of the things that influenced you?
I definitely think in general it is us living on our salary. On top of that, as we've noticed the rising cost of living, for example, like a cup of coffee is almost $10 for us these days.
Right.
We've definitely noticed that it's been taking more of our salary than we're used to. So I think it's more out of spending or restricting our spending out of fear than it is like preventative. So like savings, retirement, or anything like that. It's definitely more so, oh, I'm definitely noticing more of my money go away, even though I'm not buying as much. So yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I also wonder, one of your Gen Zer, like, can you offer any tips or advice on how to save the money efficiently and based on your own experiences?
Yeah, definitely get a budgeting app because that will help a lot. We do try to follow, or at least I try to follow the 50-30-20 rule. And so like 50% goes to your needs, 30% goes to wants, and then 20% goes to savings. I try to put the 20% of my salary towards my savings immediately, so that way I can't touch it. And then the rest of that 80% is kind of wiggle room, even though I know 50% should really be going towards the immediate needs.
Anything else or advice or hacks that you would like to share, Hannah, before we say goodbye to you?
Just continue with the meal prepping, stay away from the online shopping sites, and walk where you can instead of taking taxis. So yeah, we're all in the same boat.
All right, some very good, useful advices. Thank you, Hannah, so much for your time and advice today. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks for having me.
Right, so a lot of good advice, useful advice from Hannah. I think I remember 50-30-20 rule, meal prepping, and not doing online shopping were some of the advice that she gave us.
It's so hard these days, isn't it, with like us being the thumb generation. Everything is easily accessible.
Right.
You can buy basically everything when it comes to groceries or clothes or you name it. It's all at the touch of a button.
Right.
And I've found myself so many times not needing something but seeing something. I know this is the whole point of the strategy of selling or the marketers. Yes, exactly. That they put things up on your feed that you don't necessarily need,
But kind of makes you want to buy.
but it kind of makes you want to buy, and those are very tempting times, and it makes
Hard
it
times.
very hard to save. But just like Hannah, I also have thought about, I'm not living check by check, week by week, but I have been worrying that since we're not as freelancers, we don't really get a pay raise at all for me. So we have to sort of bargain our salary. So it comes down to how much money I can get from my employers. But it is very, very difficult when we're seeing inflation go up and none of our money seems to be going up at the same time. So it's a little bit of a crazy time for
Right.
freelancers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a hard time for everyone, but we heard some great advices from our viewers and also from Hannah too. And now, before we wrap up, I want to ask you guys: are there any like personal advice or tips that you would like to share to like spend less and save more, or wisely spending money?
Well, reducing fixed expenses is the most important factor in the saving, I think. And MZs are working through their own methods, such as using the affordable cell phones and transportation saving cards, etc.
Right.
And in addition, I think it is important to set a accurate goal in order to continue to succeed in saving. But also you have to consider your own life pattern before you go on a saving, because your daily habit and life pattern also affects your saving, and also have appropriate saving routines. And I also think that too, saving money is also, you can have a more healthy life routines, because whether you're taking a taxi, you're rather just walking on the road, and also rather like you having the delivery food, you also wrapping your own lunch boxes. And also it's going to be affected to your more healthy life routine and pattern, I think.
Right, so it's like catching two birds with one stone,
Exactly.
because you can save money and you can also have a more healthier lifestyle. So definitely prepping your food at home will be a good advice. What about you, Walter?
For me, I guess I have to be honest, I love coffee and I drink it
too.
on a daily basis.
How many cups do you drink?
Let's not talk about that because it is a little bit too much, and almost to the point where I know that if I reduce the amount of coffee that I have, that I'll save a lot of money. Thankfully, I've also invested in a fair few tumblers in my life, and I try to use them. Let's
You
not
try to
look
use them.
about, I bought a coffee today and I did not bring my tumbler. I'm sorry about that. Though it's only a small amount of coffee, money that you spend when you use a tumbler, like it's only a couple of cents off. In this case, every cent counts that you are saving, or every Korean won here counts. But really, buying coffee is a waste of money. I know that. So that is one of the things that I am trying to reduce, but it's become such a bad habit. Another thing that I have done to save money is, of course, as you mentioned, meal prepping. Something that I do usually every Sunday is make sure I make meals ready for the
week.
For the week.
Wow.
Or as Heejun mentioned as well, buying in bulk is so much more convenient because you can make a lot of meals at one time. And as a person who is out of the house a lot, I really don't have that time to go home and cook. And by the time I get home anyway, I have to look after my daughter. Here's a good way of saving money that I've been doing. If you're a parent, eat your baby food.
What?
Eat your daughter's leftover baby food because she ain't gonna eat it all.
As long as it tastes good, okay.
That's what I've been doing. So, that's a very sad story, but that's the reality of the situation. Is like I've also just been eating leftovers or eating what I can to save a lot of money, because as we know, especially with fruit these days, I love fruit. Fruit has been going up in price.
Yeah, it's really expensive
It's
these
like
days.
$4 for an apple. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And in Korea, if you don't know, they sell them like one or two usually, like in a plastic thing or like a plastic container, not like in a big bag sometimes. And usually if it is in a big bag, it's over $10 to $13. It's getting ridiculous to eat fruit these days, but I also go to the canned fruit, which is something that I can go
An
for a long
affordable
time.
option.
Affordable option, as well as extremely unhealthy because it's full of sugar.
Right.
How about you, Yujinga? Do you have any things that you do that?
Well, for me, as I mentioned before, I know that the delivery fee and food itself has become more expensive than the past. But as I mentioned before, I still can't restrain myself from ordering people in my office will know I order at least once every day. So my goal is to like start from a very baby step. So ordering only one time a day or maybe one time in 2 days. So I think that I'll start with that. So
Yes.
if I cut back on my delivery service usage, I think that I'll be able to save a great amount of money. So yeah, hope that this can
I'll
work
support
out.
you. We'll bring
Yeah,
like
please
some.
keep an eye on me. I can also spend less and save more. Right, so these were all the useful advices that we have for you in order for you to spend wisely. Again, spend less and save more. Thank you so much for tuning in to our episode today. But NewsGen is here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks today to Walter Lee
Always lovely to be here.
and Lee Jun.
Happy to be here.
And this was Song Yujin. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are News
News Generation.
Generation.